Yeah, it's February 23rd, 2019, 10:21 a.m. I just want to do a quick video. I was at the store yesterday, the 150 West Sycamore Kroger's. Um, I have a photo, I forgot what time it was, but the photo inside the store is at 6:44 p.m. It had been at least 15, 20 minutes after that I was standing outside. With that being said, a lot of different things going on. Under the breath talk, whatnot there. I'm definitely incapacitated, but being able to hear and understand things at the minimum is the best. Just overhearing somebody basically jump me with AB, Aryan Brotherhood, and there's also intimidating threat up there. They're making communal threats, so now I'm becoming a targeted threat of gang stalking, not gang stalking. And that is not to be laughed at, it's very serious. Situation broke out here in Columbus, Ohio in 1999, but that's where I said there's homosexual organized crime involved because some of the people, if not quite a few of them, was homosexual and then playing skinhead or Aryan brothers. With that being said, a lot of other things, the scolding, heel to toe, boy, heel to toe, hearing shit from a vehicle in the parking lot. Couldn't completely see the person, but the vehicle, and I didn't even take a photo of the vehicle, which I should have. I just kept going on. Being made too cheery, ho 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 ho, socially forced around, whatnot. Anyways, there is a neighborhood network going on right now, and it's starting to erect really hard, and someone's starting to target me really hard with now direct connections of basically gangland or organized crime shit. And it would be Aryan Brotherhood. As far as I know, there is no AB per se up here. In Columbus, Ohio, that I know of. It's more skinhead stuff that is related to homosexual relations. Literally, you have homosexual supremacy. But anyways, I just wanted to make note, put it out there that, hey, right here in Columbus, Ohio, somebody's producing some type of Aryan Nation, Aryan Brotherhood situation against me, telling me you're not a part of us, you can't be, mumbling under their breath as they're talking, giving stern looks, whatnot. So then now I've been profiled on top of the profilers profiling, and everybody trying to assault the situation and assault my situation. Another social life situation that doesn't exist, but that's happening. Another situation that I'm too mentally to understand that nothing's wrong, but hey, I'm going to outright say I know there's something wrong. I do notice that I can't think straight properly. I'm still trying to get the neurologist here in Columbus, Ohio, to see what they can do. I guarantee there's already malpractice. As far as, let's put it this way, if it ain't malpractice, it's still, in personal terms, malpractice. Not done right, not looked at right, not treated right. Not, I guarantee there's something there that has already been overlooked intentionally and not brought to attention and taken care of. Besides somebody trying to enforce the threat of power of psychological enforcement, legal authority enforcement, and look at what we obliterate your life with. Which I've had a lawyer, and that was 6 years ago, 7. You know, fucking outright defeat the system 3 frickin' times. Once in 2011, twice in 2012. Take that back. Twice into 2011 and once in 2012. All within a 6 months time. Somebody was trying to systematically assault me to where it's like 3 strikes, you're out. But the system got enough information for me to understand there is something majorly going on. The people assaulting me, we know your record, we got your stuff, especially pertaining that they're legal enforcement. If that's the case, where's the whole profiling from inside Twin Valley Mental Health here in Columbus, Ohio? I don't want to get into my personal life that hard, but it makes sense of utilizing a facility that has county authority, not just city authority, whatnot. Got a phone call coming in. 943-9483. 614 area code, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully I didn't post somebody's number up there wrongly, huh? A lot of that stuff's happened, and I was gonna say, since I'm thrown off the topic, I've done other videos and I haven't posted them yet of getting these phone calls. I call them back, the phone number doesn't exist. Overhearing giggling across the street. I have someone down the street that is a friend of my brother's and supposedly family friend. Really isn't. Associated with completely sabotaging me in the community. With that being said, still in contact with him, here and there, very minorly, just to keep up, to see if I can understand what's sabotage and what's going on. Well, in the last couple of weeks, if not a little more, it's just become asininely that, I ain't shit to him and somebody else is making it out just as that. And I go walking by his house, he's outside. He borrowed some money from me, just a small amount, and I shouldn't have loaned it, which is a really sad situation. Causes me not to get the support that I'm supposed to have because I'm like, that person's bad. Oh, well, what the hell are you loaning them money for? But, and you can tell I just woke up. Anyways, just because it's associated with other family members and other situations to see if it doesn't, one, calm nerves, whatever it does. Like I said, next year, I'm going to end up making everything and getting everything straight as I can and producing what I did to do that. But anyways, some of this I won't say just investigation technique, but whatnot. He's associated by the neighbor that acclaims them, or the neighbors that acclaim themselves as being undercover law enforcement ever since 2011. And, how would you feel about those guys helping another person out? It's basically, to me, corruption. Helping out the drug dealer, drug addicts, gangbangers, all the rest, and rubbing it in your face. There's a YouTube video I did back in 2013. Might have been, take that back, 2014. I'm standing over, and there's a shooting over here, west side Columbus. And I'm standing over, and they're calling and scolding me by my name. They don't even know me. I don't even know how I got I'm standing over there because this dude's sister is talking to this neighbor. And everybody's out on the corner because all the police, there's like 15 literal police cars, ambulance, stuff like that out there. And I go to walk up to the camera, and they scold me like I'm a 3-year-old child. Hey! Hey! Come back here. No. Oh, that gives me some type of custodial verbal right. Oh, I scolded you, and on top, that's what's going on. I'm going to treat you like you don't have an independence right. That's the end of it. That's 2014 right there with proof. And the video itself shows the proof with that. The verbalization. It doesn't show, but you can hear the verbalization. And there has been other people that's watched that. I went out to New York City and they bragged about that. Remember how I post things or record things, and even if I don't post them, they like producing it out in public. Like hot weave dropped on you, this is what you just did. It's kind of strange. You don't mimic that too much, especially once I started representing it. And it gets you fouled up real bad. Foul you up real bad. Foul the police up real bad. Foul the neighbors up. We ain't into nothing, man. Ain't doing nothing to you, man. That's what gangland is, man. Well, if that's the case, cool. I've been told by even real organized crime bosses, because these assholes have been in here trying to play around with organized crime, covering up their corruption crime, making it out, and on top trying to get a better probably payroll and all the rest of the stuff, or whatever it be. The organized crime, they wouldn't treat you like that. They shouldn't treat you like that. Go ahead and call the cops on them. Go ahead and get law enforcement involved and just waste the fuck out of them. They're wasting you, waste them. That literally your life. Think about it. It's your life. They're wasting your life. That's the end of it. They're trying to play hardcore mobster, all this, you know. You had the fucking crime bosses step up and outright waste all their shit. And some of them's actually still part of organized crime. If not part of the same fucking mob of where the bosses stepped out on. Or somebody trying to influence so much stalking and pathetic, we all got a grip on this and the system's allowing us to do this shit. It's fun, it's enjoyable. Let's get everybody involved. And the way it came out, I'm dead serious. I won't pit which ones and whose, but massive ass different power amount of people stepped out, just like in New York City, Baltimore, all kinds of shit while I'm being assaulted. But quick verbalization, or quick, if it ain't, I won't even make it discussion because that makes contact. But if that's the case, I shouldn't produce all that out there. But let's go and snitch, rat, and all the rest while everybody's saying they're in here sabotaging you, systematically assaulting you. Like Aryan brother, you're retarded. You can't claim to us. Don't even take any type of value to it. I kept calling them a bunch of skin fags in the last few months. Somebody started pissing me off, calling me names. I started fucking their shit back, which ain't smart. I won't say I did and didn't. It's not a hardcore thing in public, except for, hey, you smart off to me, I smart off back to you. You want to be some homosexual ass backer? Well, go ahead, skin fag. Don't call out your Aryan Brotherhood shit in my fucking face, man. Half the people trying to raise up the value ain't worth looking up to. I can put it that way. Homosexually related and utilizing a disguise of power to enforce the traits of that. I apologize, I'm not hating on homosexuality. But you can't organize crime, hate against somebody else, and them not produce a video or produce evidence or try to take it on that you're in here assaulting exactly with that. And then portraying gay traits, enforcing gay rights, and it isn't even just gay rights, wrongfully in a sense of doing it. Forcing that you have to abide by certain traits. You have to act a certain way. Now you're starting to get into gangbanging. Organized crime, gangbanging, controlment. Abuse. It's not just rights and having value and independency. If that's the case, I'd be independent, free of any type of problems and causes. Just by the way that you think. Shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be in here harassing me. No, there's a major problem. We're victims while we victimize. We're victims while we get us a victim to rag on. We get to socialize and participate with the same violence, to analyze or to participate with violence, to be the same as everybody else, and I'm their target. Back to the AB situation, Kroger's 150 West Sycamore, Columbus, Ohio here. And that's the street and the city. Last night, I had to say at least 7 p.m., maybe no later than 7:20. I'll have to go look at other stuff, but I know it's after 6:44 p.m. Just being ragged on. Community connected shit. And how am I community connected when I ain't jack fuck to y'all? You don't know me, and even if let's put it that they kind of did know me, what's the problem again? One person in 1999 had somebody try to beat me up, and guess who it is? That brother's friend down the street. The individual that was pumped up and they loved doing drugs and steroids and professing their strength. That person stepped up and apologized to me years later. Hell, it was even more than a decade probably later. Because somebody's still running a neighborhood strength of targeting against myself. Asininity and slur. And stepped up and outright told me, I'm sorry. And I was on steroids. That would have been as pathetic of me having to pump myself up, basically. Physically, when you're It ain't tiny and not trying to make it out like everybody else calling me like you a little bitch. You're tiny, but you're smaller than me. I'm 5'4". He's like fucking probably 5'9", 6 foot tall, maybe a little more than that. Outweighed me by 200 pounds back then, and probably still outweighed me right now by 120 fucking pounds. I'm 220 pounds right now, but that's all in the stomach. Haha. But apologized and pointed out basically someone else without I won't even say, I believe he didn't say the dude's last name, but said his first name, where it was the opposite, real low tone, that it was him that put him up to it of coming over and threatening me. So 1999, that's 20 years ago. Bullshit. The neighbors know this. The cop neighbors, the ones that are associated in here, doing a good, thorough job, participating with all of whatever they can, eating it up like it's a game, eating it up like social value, like they went to Disneyland. Oh yeah, this is fun shit. Associated with his power, not mine. I ain't shit. Just a shit wipe off. Here will just cause you to be mentally retarded with the rest of them. Which point has incapacitated me, and I'm messed up. Not just from the psychological injuries, social assaults, and everything else. There's a ton more stuff to it. Of implants and illegal shit happening to me. That hasn't been proven yet, and I'm going to prove this in the future. Electroshock. Someone threatening of a trach lobotomy. Well, let's just go with the word lobotomy first. That's illegal. Been illegal since the 80s. I've had other talks elsewhere. Not only just looked into the information, but when you get it to other people, especially in the military or ex-military, and they just outright, it's like, that shit's illegal. You could commit murder and they wouldn't give you a lobotomy. It's just that human rights illegal. Internationally, I think. Anyways, and then you go with trach, which means trachea, throat, which I've had tons of throat problems, and tons of other stuff, but what would be the meaning behind that? Are you trying to tell me you don't want me to think anymore? Which is, if I've had what is a basic similarity of a lobotomy, no wonder I'm so messed up. Haha, we got you. You ain't ever going to be able to prove shit being threatened. You're not going to be able to prove shit. You don't fuck around with our people. And you got law enforcement in here playing around with corrupted acts. No different than Aryan Brotherhood, Black Panther, or Black, let's not go with Panthers, because I do believe they don't exist to a point. But whatever black organized crime, whatever gangland crime, whatever, not even just crime, gangsters, groups of criminal associated, besides gang stalking, them trying to wipe shit off and on top participate with real gang stalking, people that are personally taking stuff, not making a gang claim or a complete criminal organization out of it, even though by the time you organize and you got crime involved, it's organized crime. But then I also trying to join the cleaner side to where they don't get labeled, because in Colorado Springs, that's exactly what happened, and I'm not the one that enforced it. The police and law enforcement picked up on it due to some other shit, and they started busting real gangsters and telling them and showing me how things work. I'm out here in Columbus, Ohio, and that should be looked at almost federally, and the way they're treating their situation is not federally. You're getting federal funds, but you're not participating with the requirements. Real fucking nice, man. My life is obliterated because of your law enforcement while I'm being crushed. Hey, every 5 seconds I look at you, you're cross-eyed like they said. You want a pink slip? They're in the right. You better give them the rights to talk to you this way. Pink slip is a mental health slip that is basically a police probate under their concern that you're not mentally correct or capacitated enough and to have you evaluated. Which was also talked 7 years ago of being illegally used and would be investigated each and every fucking incident if it ever happens again. And it went to happen again, and I enforced shit, and dude tried to get on his phone rather than CB or radio on his cell phone to divert a certain amount of system directly contacting people And they told him off on the phone, basically, you might not want to outstep that line there, period. He's 100% right, and if that's the case, you done violated his rights. That's a civil suit against the officer personally, I do believe, here in Columbus, Ohio. I didn't pursue anything except for educating the officer how things work while he tried to forcefully tell me what I had to do in life, and then ended up making a phone call on it. I'll figure this out, and if that's the case, I'm going to physically threaten him if things wasn't right and he made a decision he'd put his hands on me wrongfully. But anyways, not carrying into those stories, but it's all associated with what? Now I got a bunch of this dude's white people showing neighborhood community value of power play. You don't bang around me, you don't act around me. You can take their white fag skin asses and shove it up their ass. Go get your steroids, boys. Let's see what your sissy cross-dressing asses will do. I'm done. I'm gonna head press stop on this video and upload it. Peace. Oh, by the way, visit targetofunlawfulacts.com. Ain't a lot there. There is a little bit of help, and it's probably just the beginning for people who are into being stalked, being targeted, stuff like that. There's just a tiny bit of information there. I don't know if I'll turn it into self-help site or what, but I got another phone call coming in. 877-268-7788. Anyways, yeah. Target of Unlawful Acts, ACTS.com. And check out. Hopefully in the future I can get some good stuff up there also and whatnot. I'm not a great blogger. I'm not a blogger at all, but get something up there so people can come around and say, hey, a lot of these videos are my personal problems, and I'm doing it also to make diary, like log entries and journalism type of situation personally for myself, but also to not expose, but to put out so I have a place to one watch, not just written down. I got a situation to watch, but also, educate other people of what I'm talking about, or maybe make contact to somebody else's that having problems that way, so they can think of what I'm thinking. I'll throw out some ideas myself and have people check out into it. Like go get a public defender for free or free legal advice, which I haven't done just yet because I have other appointments, and right now I'm scheduling off in the future of what the future is about to be and how much time and money and where I'm going to get money if I have to use money, which is very hard. You just can't say, well, I'm going to get money. I have to somehow make extra money, which is hard for me because I can't even work a job. I have other physical problems, but at the same time, it's not the physical problems causing me not to be able to work. It's the capacitation. And the system already knows that. I'm on SSI, which is harmful. They've caused obliteration. I've already blamed my situation as being a victim of being gang stalked, organized, systematically assaulted. I have another individual in the family that sued individuals basically for the same thing. Got $100,000 out of them. At least. That was 10, 12, 15 years ago. Libel, torts, all kinds of shit. Sued the people. They also had companies to be able to afford the situation, though. Kind of feel that was frauded, that I didn't get represented myself, even though somebody else in the community in Colorado Springs was trying to represent it because my family's toxic. And there's the representation wasn't just like, yeah, we can do this for you too. These people had mass amount of city power. Literally, there was situations going on in the city that these people were controlling to get the city back into correctness for a bunch of people, and for a bunch of targeted people, basically. And I was one of those people, even though they seen that I was being targeted so hard by even law enforcement that I'd sign a piece of paper and it'd come up missing. I'd go in to do something and they'd throw it in the trash type of situation. So they found, I don't have a log myself, so they enforced after they got representation themselves and the alterations and changes and the representation from the city to enforce things, to have things investigated, all the rest. They just outright said, hey, we know for a fact you can see what's going on with him. We want his situation taken care of too. And law enforcement got on buses. I never drove cars, so city buses, telling people to get off the bus, get out from in behind me, quit belittling, making little innuendos, threat of association exactly with the same people that are living across the street from me right now, association with these people and the powers that you got, what you're challenging to, the methamphetamines that they was on, the feeling of the intoxication, trying to basically wipe it on me or intimidate with, but basically get me to think to fiend out or something like that. And I'm not a drug addict, haven't used really any drugs. You know, I've drinking beer and stuff like that, but I'm not going to say I'm no saint, but I'm definitely not a drug addict or a gateway drugs itself. Some things I just never touched. But, and that's another thing. Oh man, everybody else is doing it. Ha 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 ha. And that wasn't the particular 100% tactic. Their methamphetamine use was banging. We're very well connected, you know, threat type of situation, while utilizing the aura of their influence, of being under the influence of drugs. And the cops drug their asses off the buses and warned them if they got caught around me, they'd be associated more than just harassment and stalking. It'd be an association of whatever organizational shit that's going behind, that they would actually still hit them even if they don't have a organizational name. Crip, blood, gangster, whatever it be. I didn't do that myself. I was trying to get some help, and I might have not have went so hard or whatever on these people, which is messed up to think. Back then I was a youth still, and I was a teenager, whatnot, and I do blame myself for some, and I realized they told me not to blame myself for shit. These people sat out at bus stops and started doing the investigative shit support of, hey, nope, somebody's in behind you talking, don't worry about it, and the cops pull up, and within weeks of time, the cops walk up to doors and knock on people's doors in apartment complexes, like right in behind the bus stop, and outright last time warning. It's already went through the neighborhood. You're perceptive enough to tell me where he ate at last, and we're understanding that and about to come after everyone. So you're perceptive enough for me and to be able to see what everything else was done in this community in the last couple of weeks, not to be messing with him, not to be messing with any of this. So don't act ignorant, don't act like you don't know, but just in case you don't, there is no more belittling in behind his back threats or anything else. Trying to associate, it's not threat. We have the authority by civil suit, civil situations. He's a mental retard in the neighborhood, and there's no diagnosis back then for shit. Just trying to belittle, incapacitating, man, them being like, hey, look, he's incapacitated. So that's why we got a right to, and they didn't have a right to and was told off. Oh, now though, see what happens is I didn't 100% do that for myself, and all of a sudden revenge assaults and attacks happen. While they also tried to imply to the officers, while I had the legal authority, I don't know what I'm talking about. Damn, all those years I didn't know what I was talking about. All of a sudden just broke, snapped. It wasn't even broke, it was destructionalized, it was destroyed. All that support, mental mentality, enforced, advised shit completely flushed down the toilet. All of it either misconducted, illegal, wrongfully advised, wrongfully enforced. Same shit that's happened here in Columbus, Ohio, and I backed it up with calling internal affairs. And I was told 1,000,000,000% disregard that whole damn contact, that they'd be understanding and investigating, or at least talking to somebody about the two officers that stood here and illy misadvised me. It wasn't just a little bit, well, you can't tie your shoe and walk straight. No, it was some serious shit that also could have put me in liable harm, or allowing somebody else to put me in liable harm, like they're putting me into somebody else's custody, custodial view, bullshit. Anyways, I went rambling on that, but I want to end this video, and that's that. Peace. A lot of problems, a lot more problems now. I'm I'm starting to expose shit, and with exposure, the same thing happened in Colorado Springs. We're just going to socially assault you. We're going to do, and there's more technical terms to it. I'm not intelligent anymore whatsoever, but I do know I've been through a lot, including government militarized shit. While they're also talking about breaking me down and demilitarizing me. Kind of hard to enforce that when I was never employed myself in the military. There's a big long story on that too. There's a lot of black associated family stuff that they're trying to utilize, um, to where it's a civil right. They got this rights. He's mentally retarded, and we're invoking our American freedom independence rights, and this is this, this is that. And like I said, in Colorado, it's the same thing. They tried and influenced on the community that is okay, and then there's tons of other people that stepped on them. And I'm not the only one that was probably lifely threatened, but being threatened lifely, no, you don't mess with our stuff. Yo, if you're in the wrong and you're wrongfully doing something, you're in there throwing out the same thing that you're in the right, and you're enforcing something for the best. It's a community control. You're doing it legally and misconducting that legally as a civilian, perjurizing. Then we have a right to fight too. So that's their viewpoint. But you got to watch how that's said, because it kind of jeopardizes the enforced power of the reality of it. So I'll allow those people to talk for themselves. Shit, that was 12 years ago. Into 2005, beginning of 2006, when all this shit took place for myself. And one of the major things, like I said, I didn't want to ramble on, but it was contacting internal affairs out there. And people's like, why don't you go get help? Well, they kept throwing my shit in the trash or telling me, I won't take your information. There's nothing there. I'm not going to represent anything that you hand to me. That person was put in the news of doing that to other people, while I was being made out that I'm schizoid, or that's the reason why it happened, or, are you lying? You're making shit up? It was a couple of years later, if not years later, there's different incidences, but even back at the time that I was trying to get help, was probably maybe no more than a year later, fucking dude gets busted. They put it on the news, throwing people's shit away, not taking reports, or making it out and letting somebody feel that they're going to get representation and throw the paper away or not file it. Basically still throw it away. While he's acting like he's filing. Yeah, okay, I got you. Okay, alright, yeah, like being illy advised. That's like, and I didn't want to ramble on, but there's a story where a lady just sued the damn police, and her family did, and made millions out of it. That the police picked her up or something, if I'm correct, but if not, I'll get back in the story anyhow. Police picked her up, but she was drunk, dropped her off in the wrong fucking neighborhood. She got kidnapped, beat up, raped, and thrown out a 7-story floor window, hit the ground, cracked her fucking head open, busted her all up. She was partially paralyzed type of situation, and incapacitated by, like, mentally retardation, or to a point. Injury, never, supposedly non-healable. That type of situation, it's the same influence. It's not 100% physical, except for here in Columbus, exactly the same thing. Illy advised, putting somebody in danger by telling them the wrong information and allowing somebody else to have the advantage and ability to take advantage of that person. No different than not filing an internal affairs report and allowing somebody else to continue with their corrupted acts. I'm gonna go ahead and those acts, all those acts, I knew I'd keep rambling on. Like they said, who knows who got away with what, because it wasn't filed. How many years from beginning, if there's some evidence of the people showing that either recording a video back then with fucking bullshit. I filed this a year ago, even though you can see I'm there filing it. It may not be in your computer, so you know at least for a year this has been going on type of situation. That's not exact, but evidential base that it went past. It ain't just a thing that all of a sudden he caught a cold and got grumpy and wasn't doing his job. It went on. But not to rag the situation, because I got people out here right now that come from Colorado associated with the stalking while they're trying to inform and enforce law enforcement background, their civil rights, what they've studied and what they like to attack systematically with. And it doesn't matter, haha, we'll get proof because you're incapacitated now. Even though that we caused it, that's another advantage. How does it feel? Just outright socially stomping me the fuck down. I don't have money for a lawyer. I was homeless, helpless, and they pride on that. New York City law helped out with that a little bit, though, I do believe, because as far as me being jumped, it got so bad, it agitated in New York City when I appeared out there. I must be one of the main individuals, but they started writing off shit, and I may be partially ill-advising it, but I don't think I am, where a misdemeanor crime against the homeless turned into a felony now. They was starting to assault homeless people, starting to do wrong shit. Gang stalking without it being just gangland, while also mixing in gangland stuff, gangster, real gang, organized crime stuff, and assaulting homeless people. Coming across the country from California. Guess who has California plates? One of me neighbors. Guess who's in this community right now throwing out California, what I perceptualize as being California associated with California license plates. And associated with neighbor. His family, his portrayance, or his connections. Yo, you shouldn't fuck with him, really? You gonna stalk me across the United States anymore? As far as I know, I have a lawful right to stand against you with the force of telling you I will take you down, and I'm not talking lawfully in handcuffs, I mean permanently, to protect myself. You're posing a life-threatening situation against myself. Sabotage and destroying my life, not just physically, mentally, socially. Social disgrace of my character to the point that I don't have a life, and it's already happened. So, anybody likes to stand. I was told by psychologists, the county psychologists, other people and whatnot, they're inducing, which you got these cops that tried to outdo it, and I'll call internal affairs, and that's another thing I'm going to try to at least stabilize and get stabilized here in Columbus, Ohio, is the rights to fight for life, be able to protect myself, which already should be understood, of the type of techniques and situations that's going on here for me to defend myself, and if have to, alleviate the situation and the means of whatever I had to utilize by means to alleviate that. A lot of people understand that's unclear saying to basically if I had to kill these people. And that was a psychologist basically informing not too hard, not to invoke like just walk over and kill someone and you'll get away with it. No, there has to be evidential proof behind it. And there is evidential proof. So, they're kind of getting stupid, but hey, you ain't doing nothing, I don't feel nothing, and the little tap slaps of warnings ain't done shit. I call the cops, they call the cops on me. I call the cops, they inform I'm out here. I can't take his shit. He ain't in witness protection. He ain't this. How the fuck do you know my situation and got your nose stuck up my ass? That goes to prove you're in here legally. Knowing my legal background means you're stalking me, motherfucker. You and your homosexual organized crime situation, stalking, getting into my business and then complaining I'm staring at you, I'm looking at you, I'm doing something. We can't stand him being around. He makes us feel like he's watching us. I'm watching you. Even 7 years ago, the system done said, that's pathetic, and laughed at it again. And this is where Colorado shit steps up in, and I was trying to tell them, hey, what's Columbus do? Colorado stood into this shit. Same thing. Them lying, perjurizing, and everything else. I'm not watching them. If I was, it's bare minimum compared to them actually utilizing money, doing background checks, and organizational fucking outright profiling. I can't do them the same way they're doing me. What gives them a better right to fuck me over or treat me the way that I'm being treated, and I don't have the same right? Homosexual, haha, what's up, bitch, ha 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 ha, what you gonna do, what you gonna do, what you gonna do? Homosexual, steroid, and flame freaks on top. A lot of drug-related, steroidical. We take care of business no matter how it is. Alright, let's get into that. While also having a criminal, connective, law enforcement background. Oh, you ain't gonna do shit. We're law enforcement. You know better than to talk to us that way. I just want to inform once again, just like Colorado Springs, that shit got cracked the fuck down on. Hardcore. Anyways, ending this video. Peace. Have fun. Visit the website Target of Unlawful Acts just for the little bit of information there. May not even stay up, but I'm hoping that I do keep it up and try to stabilize at least the domain name for as long as possible. And put some information up there that can be utilized by a bunch of other people. Anyways, peace.